What's up guys, welcome back to a new video. I don't know what we were doing. I finally got the quest over, so now we find Farina and she's here. Why is she here?
That's Farina, right? What was meant to happen did happen after all. I'm
What?
sorry. Give up, Farina. I'm sorry, but what can I even do? Who's that? Don't worry, Farina. It's... So it is you, blonde traveler from another land. Why, I almost thought you were someone from that mob of my ignorant subjects. Come to kneel and beg for my forgiveness. Farina, you were crying just now, weren't you? What do you mean, tear stains? Who did that uncivilized rabble think that they even dare to tout their Archon? I must teach them a lesson. I can just imagine their twisted and frustrated faces once they realize that I'm nowhere to be found. Oh, and I'm sure Nouvellette and those people from the Maréchaussée Phantom are freaking out right next to them, too.
Hey, there she is! The Hydro Archon's over there! Quick, after her!
What?
Farina, those people seem to be after you. They are? They're just some... That's against the rules. I can't let them get their way.
What the?
Farina just ran off. Quick, we have to catch up.
Yo, that would have killed in high school. Why? That's such a goofy ass one. Like,
This should be the place, right? Hey, Farina! There's a good hiding spot over here. What is this place? Hurry, they're almost here! Fine. I suppose haste is warranted. Lead the way.
alright.
No, I mean, I merely gave in to the sheer enthusiasm they displayed. Yep, that's a... what's happening? The ground's shaking. Yeah, a quake of this kind preceded the flooding in Poisson, didn't it? It can't be. Well, there's no need to worry. Yeah, but the people of Poisson... It's true. I've been investigating the prophecy for I once had informants all over Tevat,
Okay,
searching
so-
for clues and feeding information back to me. I've tried all kinds of ways, too, to hold back the sea. Anything to keep the coastline from advancing.
And then what
But
happened?
all my efforts proved to be futile in the end. Really, we cannot make an enemy of the divine. No matter what we do, the will of the heavenly principles will have its way, and the prophecy shall be fulfilled.
Okay.
Give up. I do love the sound of that phrase. It would mean
Wow.
finally coming to terms with fate, but also for me to finally be free. Indeed, I've thought about giving up so many times, especially especially after we almost lost Poisson. Fate is really unreasonable, isn't it? It has no heart and obeys no rules. The prophecy has only just started to come true, but just now, it all became clear to me. I still don't have the right to come to terms with fate on behalf of everyone else. As long as the final moment hasn't come, don't worry. I will keep hope alive forever. Well, that's enough for now. I got the impulse to play the stricken maiden, but honestly, considering my rank and station, that wasn't a good fit at all.
Alright.
Don't take any of what I just said seriously. How could I possibly let Fontaine fall to the whims of trivial prophecy?
Come on! Paimon could have sworn you were actually...
Be alone.
Share my burden. That's impossible. It was fated right from the start that this would be my duty alone. With this. Yes, I've heard that you came to Teyvat from beyond the stars, yes. And if Teyvat is, in its entirety, a show on a stage, then you're just a... If that's...
So what is it? Well, all of a sudden. What the fuck going on?
Ladies and gentlemen, now, without further ado, we may proceed to the trial of our god.
So, this is what it is. Yes, you deserve praise for the effort you took to raise the dramatic stake. Do not forget, however, that I am Focalors, the god of justice, the embodiment of justice itself. Does it not strike you as even the least bit absurd to bring the very concept of justice?
May I interpret these words as your refusal to stand trial? In that case, you will have the opportunity to defend your honor through a duel.
You would draw your blade against a god? I see. It seems like you have made up your mind.
So they were gonna fight? I don't know how strong she...
Paimon can't believe it.
What the heck is going on? Did I just see an Archon surrender to a...
Wow, how utterly...
Lady Farina, what is the meaning of...
It would seem that there has been a misunderstanding. To be clear,
Looking for excuses again.
I raised my hands just now to indicate my acceptance of the trial. I will admit that I've been... I'm sorry, everyone. I was unable to protect the people of Poisson. It is my duty to stand trial for my crimes. You are not the only ones to be disappointed in me. I, too, am... But now, it is time for the... I, Farina, will use this trial to show the world this time. Applaud and rejoice. Mark my words. This shall be one of the most exhilarating and brilliant shows ever to grace the stage of fun.
Oh, no. Why does it feel like Farina just took over the whole thing? Like, come on. Also, even though she's still acting super dramatic, she is taking taking this serious.
All right, then. Who will be my opponent in this trial?
The court asks the prosecutor to please take the stand.
Is that so? Very well. Then please speak, witness of Tivat, my accuser and fated opponent.
Okay.
Also, please allow me to ask, as a final question before the trial, just how much work
Well, we did do a lot of prep after the meeting that day.
I can go over the task. Navia, the president of the Spina di Rasula.
Most of the people who participated in the disturbance this morning were my subordinates. They changed into plain clothes and came to the Opera House as regular audience members, waiting for the perfect opportunity to incite insurrection against you.
These clothes are.
The people's resentment
They're
against their
pretty fine,
Archon
yeah.
has been building as more
look
and
good.
more of the prophecy is fulfilled. Moreover, according to our understanding and analysis of you, when something like that occurred, you would likely flee the scene and head to put. So, we arranged for a second group.
So, you mean the ones who scoured the settlement for me?
And their goal was to force you to step into the giant magic box so you may personally participate in the greatest magic performance in.
That's right. That house was a magic box rather than someone's residence.
As the super ultimate version of the setup the volume of the box was increased by a whole order of magnitude, and the distance it traversed was the entire gap between Poisson and Erenie. Was an Archon instead of my thanks, Farina. Without your help, we could never have pulled off such an extraordinary performance.
You're welcome.
Of course, this performance was only made possible with Father's support. The House of the Hearth spent a massive amount of labor in. We had to select a location, construct the giant magic box, dig a tunnel, and open up a path through the water.
So, in other words, the earthquake that we felt within the giant magic box was just a normal.
That's right. It wasn't a sign of another disaster to come.
Then, You gathered a crowd, prepared a stage, and made sure that the champion duelist would be immediately ready. Also, that as soon as I appeared on the stage, the trial may commence without a hitch. Am I right?
Yes, that is correct.
Well, Clorand, I must commend you for your courage. Only the most outstanding champion duelist in all of Fontaine would accept a duel with an Archon without flinching.
Thank you.
As for you, Traveler, I suppose your role was to keep me distracted with conversation once you found me in Poisson. You'd make sure that I didn't notice anything amiss before revealing yourself as my prosecutor once. Oh? Is that so? It's fine. It matters not. The stage is already set, so there's no reason to disappoint the audience. Let's see this trial through to the very end.
Okay.
Sir Prosecutor, please allow me to pass this along. This is a document that Miss Charlotte applied for and received permission to share with you during the trial. According to her, it should speed up.
Huh? Charlotte wanted to give us something? Oh, so she's here too! Oh, let Paimon see. Isn't this the exclusive interview that she did with us before? Wait, then that means this document is a perfect timeline of everything that's happened ever since we stepped foot in. So in other words, we can refer to this anthology of evidence every time we want to use something from our... Let's quickly confirm the information in it. Just think of it as a refresher, alright?
Okay.
You defeated the Hydro Archon in the very first duels you took. I didn't think that this is the first time Monsieur Nervillette had a difference of opinion with the Oratrice. Even the Hydro Archon can't figure it out.
Tui Harbinger. She's an extraordinary person. Her instinct must mean something. The words of someone as extraordinary as a witch can probably only be truly understood. I nearly lost my The fortress of Meripede was...
Whatever.
The prosecution and the defense are both in position. The trial shall now begin.
Oh, come on, Nervylette. There's no need to repeat all the unimportant legalese. Just fast forward to the part where the prosecution lays out my offenses.
Okay.
As the defendant and the lead actress of this performance, I still haven't even been informed of my supposed guilt in all of this. Of course, it is only natural for humans to struggle to understand the actions of a god. However, you will need more than that to convict me.
That's true. But my charge here is unrelated to your conduct as an Archon. Instead, I would like to charge you as a fraud who's never been the Archon in the first place.
Wait, what was that? Lady Farina's a fraud?
Hey, I came here thinking that we were going to try the Hydro Archon for forsaking her duty, but did I hear that right?
Charge accepted. Lady Farina, do you plead guilty? Lady Farina.
I plead not guilty. There is no way that I, Focalors, otherwise known as Farina de Fontaine, a member of the Seven and the Regina of all waters, kindreds, peoples, and laws of Fontaine, could be anything other than your true Archon.
Yeah.
Okay.
Even though Lady Farina can be rather eccentric, isn't it going too far to doubt her very identity?
Yeah, I've never questioned her identity either. Sure, Lady Farina can be super irresponsible, but what grounds does that prosecutor have to make such a huge claim?
I have cause to believe that common sense will prevail in this case. Many of the members of the audience have known me as the Hydro Archon ever since they were born. See? Even the Oratrice has decided if you wish to drop the case, I can promise you as the God of Justice that you will not have to face trial for making a false accusation. We will...
An argument with near impossible odds, huh?
Okay.
You have to not only refute Farina's claims, but also overturn the...
Well, I tried to give... And if I was not the Archon...
First of all, you may be a member of another long-lived race, which would allow you to naturally possess an extended lifespan. And second of
Maybe
all,
she is
even if that wasn't the case, there could be other ways to extend your life.
Who gave you that idea? Was it the knave? You'd sink so low as to use a harbinger's words against me.
A curse? I once thought it possible that the aura of an Archon might naturally resemble a type of curse. But in light of this claim, perhaps what I sensed was not your divinity, but a curse after all.
You sensed it too, huh, Nervylette?
Lady Farina. Well, it is true that it's extremely difficult to tell humans and gods apart just by looking at them.
Damn. I got it right at the first time.
Well, don't start celebrating too early now. Even if I have been carrying a curse like you said, how does that prove that Besides, everyone knows that the main difference between a human and a god is the possession of authority.
Okay.
Gods can do what humans cannot. That's why they're worshipped For centuries, manifestations of my authority have served the nation of Fontaine. One need only to turn their eyes towards the Oratrice Mécanique d'Analyse Cardinal in this very opera house, or consider the endemnitium that is used in every app.
Yeah, this one, right? This has to be it.
You tried to reference the Oratrice, but weren't you as confused as all the rest of us when the Oratrice by now.
Didn't I make myself clear at the time? The decisions of the gods are naturally difficult for humans to comprehend. There is no need to provide an explanation.
Lady Farina, I believe a reminder of your current circumstances is in order. While the court is in session, the principles of justice and the law must come before all else. While you are an Archon, you are also first and foremost the defendant in this trial. You will prove yourself unable to defend against the prosecution's charges if you continue to withhold vital information against the rules of the court.
I never thought you'd use that kind of rhetoric against me.
That was no trick of rhetoric, Lady Farina. I've merely reiterated the rules of the court. Rules that...
So, you neither knew why, child, instead of having been created...
The real Hydro Archon. Well, now it is true that I did not know why the Oratrice gave out a guilty verdict that day. But the Oratrice handed out that verdict unilaterally. And it has been operating independently ever since it was first created. You can't argue that just because a divine creation is flawed, that the god behind it must also be no god.
She's still throwing out all kinds of excuses. Seems like she's...
My power as an Archon. There are many ordinary citizens in the audience. How can I just carelessly demonstrate the formidable power of an Archon?
If that poses a concern, I'm prepared to extend my protection to the audience.
You don't need to go that far.
Say your power.
Aren't you the Hydro Archon? Or is it that you can't even wield the power of Hydro, much less the authority of a god?
Indemnitium! Yes! It's all because of Indemnitium! All Archons derive their power from the faith of the people, and I've converted the people's faith in justice thus did I give up all of my divine power to provide everyone with energy for their daily lives. Have you ever seen a more magnanimous god?
Isn't that a huge stretch?
Yeah, no matter how generous an Archon can be, how could they give up all their power? Can a god with no power even still be...
Damn. Is it
Seems
over?
like nobody's buying Farina's...
Hey, come now, everyone. Please don't stare at me as if I'm still the same Farina you knew, right? The one that you loved. Please, you've got to believe me.
If what the prosecutor said is true, she really has committed a grave offense.
Did she deceive all of us? And all of our parents and grandparents too?
Enough. That's enough. Tell me then, if I'm not the real Hydro Archon, then who is? If you have no evidence of another Hydro Archon's existence, nor can you find anyone who can back up their claim to be...
Wow, she came up with yet another argument. How can we...
Try to prove that she is Okay. Alright. Holy shit, this is right as well.
That doesn't sound right. Paimon doesn't think this clue can be used at... that doesn't sound...
This?
that doesn't...
And this.
It has been established that all Fontanians can dissolve in...
Since you insist on claiming to be a god and not a human, then there's a method that you can use right here and now to eliminate all suspicions of you.
Miss Navia, please apply to serve as a temporary attorney for the prosecution before addressing the court. Though you act in partnership with the prosecutor, you must still adhere to proper procedure.
Super sorry, Monsieur Chief Justice. I swear this really will be the last time. Now, I've brought some seawater from Poisson. As everyone knows, a massive flood struck the area not long ago, taking many, including those of... So, Miss Farina, if we are to believe that you are indeed the real Hydro Archon, touching this seawater would have no effect on you. But if you don't dare to touch it, then we would have basically proved the reverse. Oh, and I must remind you that after the disaster at Poisson, nobody wants to see any more people dissolve. I do hope you'll act prudently and choose the...
Navia from the Spina di Rasula. Spina has governed Poisson for many years. I guess her suggestion is valid.
If Lady Farina is indeed just a human, she's probably Fontanian like all the rest of us. Would she...
Lady Farina, this test has been unilaterally proposed by the prosecution. As it falls outside the realm of standard court proceedings, you possess the right.
Well, of course he had to tell her that. But refusing to participate is basically the same as a confession.
She's just staring at the water without saying a single word.
What's going on? Is she really planning to... that's not what we thought she would...
Due to the inherent risk of the test, Lady Farina, you may...
Hey!
Did she dissolve?
I'm fine! Look at me, everyone! Will you believe me now? I really am your Archon! I'm nothing...
Miss Seetween? If you're present, Miss Seetween, please come forward and attend to the defendant.
Siege? Wait, don't be nervous. It'll just... That should be enough.
Please announce the results of your evaluation.
As everyone doubtlessly saw, Miss Farina was displaying symptoms of hyperventilation and flushed skin. These indicate she was experiencing the adverse effects of exposure to primordial seawater. The extent to which she was affected is the same as other humans when exposed to primordial seawater of a similar concentration.
Thank you, Miss Seetween. Lady Farina, you may return to...
Oh, wait. What did she just say? I didn't get dissolved. Shouldn't that be enough?
Well, considering your tendency to run from your problems, we did originally prepare a direct sample of the seawater around Poisson. However, after extensive discussion, we exchanged it for a sample that is not concentrated enough to dissolve an actual human. We don't want anyone else to lose their life to the sea.
Yeah, so out of regard for Farina's life, you secured a low-concentration sample. It's a great thing that the direct sample wasn't actually used.
I can't believe...
Just still in my hush.
Listen to me, everyone. Please don't give me such cold and disdainful looks. Think about it. How can you conclusively prove that an Archon? Also, if I was really just a human, why would I dare to just put my... Please,
Damn.
everyone, anyone, just listen to me. I swear, I really am your Archon.
Damn. Can't believe
I don't
it.
think anything she says at this point will sway anyone.
With all the things that have been said, Paimon doesn't think there's any way left.
I believe the time for arguments and presentation of evidence has come to an end. If there are no objections, we will move on to the final judgment.
Okay. What happened?
I don't think anything she says at this point will sway anyone. She's stacked against her now.
In my capacity as Chief Justice, I shall now render judgment on Farina's misrepresentation of herself as the Archon of Fontaine. As a human who knowingly deceived her fellow citizens, Farina is... guilty.
Damn. Oh wait, this is the...
We shall now turn to the Oratrice Mécanique d'Analyse Cardinale to render the final verdict on the charges.
What if it says not guilty? Also, isn't that the same pose that she was in?
According to the judgment of the Oratrice Mécanique...
Well, what's wrong? What's the Oratrice's verdict?
No, the Oratrice also displays a guilty verdict.
Isn't that correct?
However, the exact wording of the verdict is thus. The Hydro Archon, guilty to be punished via the death sentence.
What?
That's actually one of the available sentences? I've always thought that it was just a myth.
The one and only time the death sentence has been handed out at the court. And it's been given to the very person we've worshipped as the god of...
Furina's been sentenced to death by the Oratrice? We just wanted to use the trial to show her the seriousness of...
This outcome is indeed quite strange. According to Fontaine's current definitions of justice, as well as his recommendations for criminal sentences, is this sentence really appropriate for the crimes that have been committed?
Yeah! Even Fauché wasn't sentenced to death by the Oratrice. You know, the real evil mastermind behind the serial disappearances case.
Indeed. Not only is Furina's sentence overly excessive, the very point of our trial today was also to prove that Furina has never been the Hydro Archon in the first place. But now, the Oratrice seems to have deliberately invoked the title of the Hydro Archon.
Excuse me, if I may interrupt. Is the trial...
Freminet! You finally made it.
Mm-hmm. Any mission Father assigns to me.
Okay.
Is that the... Huh. So the knave privately arranged for Freminet to try and find the missing slate.
I looked everywhere and finally found it at the bottom of the sea. It took me a long time to get around some dangerous stretches of water. But has the trial already concluded? Then doesn't that mean I've come...
Thank you for your hard work, Mr. Freminet. Please allow me... Traveler, I believe that you have already seen the other existing slates. I would like...
Okay.
Huh? So what do you...
Turning the ocean into...
I believe I've now made sense of the Hydro Archon's crime. It has to do with
Huh? Isn't the Hydro Archon just guilty of deceiving her people? So when you say Hydro Archon, do you mean...
In truth, everything that you've encountered in Fontaine up until this... However, I'm uncertain as to how much sense they currently make to you.
Okay, let's try to recall the contents of the other 3 stone slates. Paimon will...
Okay. Right. So... You're doing the same thing again.
The first stone slate describes what you just said. It seems to show the previous Hydro Archon using her divine power, and then the Oceanids turn into humans.
Okay.
Does that mean that Fontanians are transformed Oceanids? Oh, Paimon wasn't expecting that. But if Oceanids can turn... The second stone slate shows Celestia floating in the sky, and the Hydro Archon and her people worshipping it together. But this must be the point when the Hydro Archon and the Fontanians were branded with their original sin.
Okay.
Does this mean that the original sin and the Hydro Archon sin are the same thing? The third slate shows the Hydro Archon sinking into the sea surrounded by many people.
Alright.
That reminds Paimon, didn't we also watch that happen to someone else? Well, the fourth slate is the prophecy the Fontanians have been talking about. People dissolving into the sea, the Hydro Archon crying on her throne. We didn't believe that such a crazy disaster could happen at first, did we?
Okay. So this... think, who was it?
We know from the case of the serial disappearances of young women that Fontaine and the first stone slate tells us that long ago, the Hydro Archon used her power to this might be the reason that Fontanians can dissolve.
Oh, okay.
That doesn't sound...
This?
That doesn't...
Perhaps what is about to take place has all happened before. The true sin of the Hydro Archon and the original sin cast down on the people of Fontaine by Celestia, as recorded on the stone slates.
Wait, is Celestia where we came from?
That doesn't...
Maybe it's this one.
That doesn't...
It's not when Navia fell into the sea. The stone slates show the people gathered around the Hydro Archon in the sea. Could that be alluding to this?
Oh. Is she going to be thrown in the Primordial Sea?
That doesn't...
Maybe some...
The prophecy from the stone slates found its way into society. But not many people believed it at first. The fortress of Meropide was nearly flooded with primordial seawater, which we know can cause Fontanians to dissolve. It seems increasingly likely that the prophecy may come true if...
Damn.
They'll dissolve into the primordial sea but won't cease to exist. Their essence will flow in the seawater, converge, and take the form of an oceanid.
Oh. Alright.
The Hydro Archon was sentenced to death in court, shocking everyone present. Perhaps this means that her sin was actually Fontaine's original sin.
Oh.
Navia fell into the water inside those ruins, and she nearly dissolved. She was surrounded by the people of Poisson in a court within her consciousness. The eruption of the primordial sea at the fortress of Meropide was the surest sign that the prophecy was about to come to pass no matter what. The prophecy's contents can all be verified by recent events.
Let's hear them.
Incredible! Linny, did you hear that?
All Fontanians were originally created by the late previous... The evidence for that can be found in how only Fontanians could dissolve in primordial sea... Oh, and according to Navia, when she was about to get dissolved, she also saw everyone gathered around for a trial.
Indeed.
Yeah, and it follows from the content of the first slate that could also explain why the Oratries judged the Hydro Archon to be guilty.
The Hydro Archon's true sin was...
And yet, after many hundreds of years, the Hydro Archon's creations have turned around to try to judge the Archon within the Opera Epiclese. The twists of history are often the most unexpected of all.
Yeah! Isn't the image here just like when Navia fell into the sea? So wouldn't it be trying to show the image of the Hydro Archon also falling into the sea once the prophecy has been fulfilled in the forest? In the end, the people will all be dissolved into the waters, and only the Hydro Archon will remain weeping on her throne. Did Paimon get all that right?
You've made some keen deductions. I must say, given how much you still don't know, it is impressive that you've already managed to connect so... However, while you were able to decode all the information on the slates, they've also been etched with an additional layer of hidden information. When we were at the ruins, I tried to decipher the hidden information recorded in the slates. But since we only had 3 slates at the time, now that the slate collection is complete, I shall make another...
Okay. What is it? What did you see?
Well?
I believe I should share this truth not only with you, but with all the people of Fontaine as well. Your hypotheses regarding the origin of Fontanians and the sin of the Hydro. In the Fontaine of old, the previous Hydro Archon sensed the yearning of her Oceanid familiars for life on land. The Oceanids were enamored with the beauty and romanticism of human beings, and wishing to have those experiences for themselves, expressed to the Hydro Archon their desire to become of a similar kind. However, even though water as an element is intricately linked with the power of life, the Hydro Archon, as one of the seven, did not possess the authority to create a new form of human life. Not one to give in, she eventually found a way to create permanent humanoid bodies for her familiars by appropriating the power of this planet's primordial sea. She poured primordial seawater into the Oceanids' blood vessels, creating humanoid mimics. Of course, the Hydro Archon never received permission from the heavenly principles to create a new human race. And thus, the Hydro Archon and all of her creations came to shoulder the original sin of appropriating the power of the primordial sea. That is the true history of how the people of Fontaine...
So you...
That's way too much information for me. I think I'm just going to pretend that I never... Wait, but if that's the truth, we can't let the Hydro Archon be sentenced to death. After all, her only sin...
This really might be too much information for your regular Fontani.
Alas, your hypothesis regarding the third and fourth stone slates was inaccurate. The slates' respective positions are, in fact, correct. A key point of the visual on the third slate is how all the individuals depicted in the water are humans rather than Oceanids. They have not been dissolved, which implies that the water depicted in this slate is not water from the primordial... The nation of Fontaine is the nation of Hydro, as well as the nation of trials and justice. Instead of being the literal element, the water in the scene symbolizes judgment and justice. You may also recall Navia's experience. When she fell into the sea, her consciousness was surrounded by that of many others who intended to hold a trial to determine her fate. Therefore, the meaning of the third slate is that the people of Fontaine shall try the Hydro Archon at the court of justice. Yes.
I think I'm following now. In truth, everything we've done has happened exactly as the prophecy for...
What should we do?
No matter what, the prophecy will be fulfilled. Is this what it feels like to be a prisoner of fate?
If that's the case, does that mean the scene in the fourth slate will also be fulfilled soon?
Traveler, I would like to point out another small fallacy in your deductions. About the fourth slate, you probably thought that the eruption of primordial seawater beneath the fortress of Meropide served as the surest sign that the prophecy was about to... However, I believe that rather than being a sure sign, that eruption could in fact only be a small... As for the root cause of the catastrophe, I believe you've already encountered it once.
Oh, is it the whale? Let's look at the whale.
This eruption was just a small warning of the things to come.
That doesn't...
Oh yeah, it's the whale one, isn't it?
It was both dream and...
If we're talking about a true culprit, that can only be that thing inside the...
The truth, the original sin, the trial.
What is it? What is happening? What is the bird? Finding it wrong. Bro's gone.
That was way too close! How did that thing just burst into the Opera House? Wait, was that the huge whale you saw in your dream?
So we've met it at last. I understand very well why it has chosen to make an appearance here. That whale does not belong to Tevat. It is a monster that has traversed the stars. It has been greedily consuming the energy from the planet's primordial sea, using it to grow. That is, and once it has finished consuming all of the energy contained within this...
You said that when the Hydro Archon first created Fontanians out of Oceanids...
Precisely. That whale finds the blood of Fontanians nigh impossible to resist. Therefore, when it left the primordial sea, it decided to make its...
We just barely managed to push it back, right?
That is correct. Indeed, it is more accurate to say that we should thank that Harbinger for buying us some time. Without him, the whale would have likely come onto land far sooner. From the way he looked, he must have been fighting the creature for quite a long time.
That battle maniac. We've always known that he had a special connection with that whale, but we definitely didn't expect it to help us out like this. Anyway, now that we know that this whale is the actual cause of the disaster recorded in the prophecy, all we need to do to stop the...
It is too late. It had already absorbed too much of the primordial sea's energy before we could notice it. At this point, it has become practically integrated. Even if the entirety of Tevat were to be destroyed, it...
That's not some... We've already done... We've come...
Indeed. I'll fight it to the end.
So the prophecy will be fulfilled no matter what, huh?
Seems like it. Another
The
game.
prophecy. Yes, what has been prophesized will...
What? Can't fight against fate. Fate, but if this... fate.
Just as prophecies are usually only the future as seen from the perspectives of the gods, could things be happening in hidden corners? Ultimately, fate shall serve as your...
That even if the prophecy will be fulfilled, there's a wait. The idea is... Oh, she won and lost. What is the real...
Oh, what's happening with the Ortrees?
I believe it is preparing to carry out the death sentence.
Farina! No, I still need answers.
Is that the real? Wait, who was that? Did she transform or something? Yeah, it seems like it. Who was it? She did transform.
Sorry. That shocked expression on your face is just too amusing.
You are not Farina.
Ah, the sweet sound of bewilderment. Marvelous. A sure sign that my attempt to deceive everyone was a resounding success. But to answer your question...
Focalors. Why did you...
Oh, that wasn't my goal, of course. Goodness, no. But I had to fool everyone else. The heavenly principles.
Deceiving the heavenly...
It's all because of that pernicious prophecy. Dreadful, wasn't it? Everyone doomed to dissolve. One was not amused. In fact, one was positively bemused. when that problem was thrust upon me by my dearest predecessor. That's the former Hydro Archon Egeria for the uninitiated. It hardly gets more disastrous than a preordained She knew full well that the prophecy would surely come. And as one of the seven, she also knew full well that one defies the heavenly principle. So yes, as you have no doubt surmised, it was a rather impossible. I spent a terribly long time mulling it over, alone on the ocean floor. And I was almost growing barnacles by the time I had to outwit the heavenly principles, allow the prophecy to be fulfilled, ostensibly at least, while saving. I'm a genius, I know. I can only assume that, although looking back now, it was hardly the inheritance one dreams of. Between the task of saving the nation, the quotidian duties of the Hydro Archon, and not to mention the original sin of creating a new race of humans, I dare say she left me quite a colossal mess. But one can only play the hand one is dealt. I did not choose this, any more than—
So you were also once one of the Oceanids, transformed—
Yes, I was. I always dreamed of becoming human. And I still do, even now. In my eyes, to be human is to be part of the greatest. After becoming a god, I separated my divinity from my body and spirit, leaving behind only a self that was as naive and bewildered as the me you see before you now is that divinity. And she could feel joy, sorrow, and her strengths were of a kind only a human. But in my eyes, Furina's humanity was what made her perfect. She was perfectly human. Anyway, so that all part of the plan, of course. The plan to deceive the heavenly principle. Do you still remember the final scene of the prophecy? In order that the prophecy might appear fulfilled, I invited Furina to be an actor under the curse I placed on her. So long as I, Focalor's divinity, continued to exist, she could not die. But nor was she. Instead, she was forced to take the stage in the opera. I suppose now you probably understand what—
But Furina is only human. Even though she has had a long life, her mind is no stronger than that. I cannot begin to fathom what she has had.
It has indeed. And although she is, in a sense, me in human form, it's been and all along, she's been playing her part in the most unimaginably long, unbearably lonely, and agonizingly painful opera of all time.
Okay, so is she dead? Alright. She's just sitting there. Anyways, I'll continue tomorrow. Thanks for watching, and peace.